All right. No signals necessary?
Probably not. I think
Okay. All right. Well, the camera is rolling, so just whenever you are ready, go ahead.
As a kid, my favorite cartoon character was the Simpsons pet greyhound, Santa's Little Helper. But something always bothered me about him. The family found him after his real owner abandoned him for losing a race. His abandonment was always a reminder that there are problems with greyhound racing. And so now I support the group Grey2K USA that exists to fix these problems. Grey2K USA strives to provide every greyhound with a happy, healthy, and long life. As a fellow college student, I know it's hard to have the time or the money to care for a dog of your own, but this group provides ways you can help without needing to adopt or spend money. You can trust me on this subject because my family has adopted 2 greyhounds, and I've done research. Today, I'm going to talk about the problems of abuse in greyhound racing, how Grey2K USA tries to fix them, and then what the world would look like with and without their success. So let's start with the problems of abuse in greyhound racing. Around the world, thousands of greyhounds are either abused, neglected, or face death. Greyhound racing started in the 1800s as a neighborhood sport, but by the early 1900s, state governments had turned it into a source of revenue. This has caused the dogs to be viewed more as possessions rather than living things with rights. As a result of this status, many greyhounds don't have proper living conditions. At almost all the tracks, they are confined in small cages like this one, 18 to 20 hours a day. They're also underfed and only receive low-grade, unsterilized meat. Let's take a closer look at Florida, where most American tracks are located. There, 20% of recent track inspections were graded as very poor. Reports included contaminated food and dogs sleeping in urine. My greyhound Annie came from a track in Florida in 2010. When we got her, she was so starved that her ribs were poking out and she would eat food until she vomited. She also came with this long scar going all the way down her side. But the saddest thing is what happens is how often these dogs are killed. Many of the dogs injured on the track are euthanized, sometimes just for a broken leg. The dogs that are retired but not adopted are also killed. About 5,000 greyhounds are killed each year in the U.S. For example, in 2002, investigators found that a man from Florida had shot over 3,000 unwanted greyhounds. It's evident that our world is still allowing this because 9 countries and 7 states still allow racing. Now that I've talked about the problem, I'll talk about how Grey2K USA tries to fix it. Grey2K USA works as the voice of greyhounds by promoting adoption and working to ban racing. They started in the 90s as a group called Grey2K, which stands for Greyhound Racing Ends Year 2000. Their goal was to ban racing in Massachusetts in 2000, but sadly they failed. In 2001, they regrouped and formed the national group Grey2K USA. The current group's main goal is to ban racing worldwide. And they do this through a variety of activities. One activity is educating the public on greyhounds. And they do this through speaking events, reports on track conditions posted on their website, and they also provide information about and referrals to greyhound adoption. But their biggest activity is lobbying for stronger greyhound protection in state laws. They do this through the support of people that they've talked to and the donations they've received. They use processes like petitions and ballot initiative, which can force a public vote on a certain topic. Using these processes, they have been very successful. According to the victories page on the Grey2K USA website, they've really contributed to closing down many racetracks. For example, in 2008, they got Massachusetts to ban racing, and in 2010, Rhode Island and New Hampshire did the same. They've also helped clarify the anti-cruelty laws of states like Florida and New Hampshire to include greyhounds. Some critics say that banning racing just puts people out of jobs and decreases state revenue, but figures show that greyhound racing is no longer even relevant to society's wants. Between 2002 and 2009, gambling on it decreased by 53%. Now that I've talked about how Grey2K USA tries to help, I'll discuss what the world would look like with and without their success. With continued support, Grey2K USA can provide every greyhound with a loving home and help make the world a more empathetic place. In this future world, greyhound racing would be banned everywhere, meaning every greyhound would have a loving home. This means that they would have a belly full of food that won't give them illnesses, they'd have comfortable beds that won't give them sores, and most importantly, they'd have a chance at a long, injury-free life. On a wider scale, it would help our society become more empathetic. According to a 2008 study published in the magazine Society and Animals, having more empathy for animals means people are more likely to have empathy for fellow humans. In addition, being forced to consider the rights of animals would force us to take another look at the rights of every living thing. If Grade 2K USA were to fail, however, it would severely hurt these dogs. For one, the number of dogs in racing would probably increase, meaning the number of dogs abused and neglected would increase. But also, the killing rates would probably go back to the way they were before the greyhound protection movement started. Back then, every dog not adopted was killed, and that used to be as high as 100,000 dogs per year. In conclusion, I hope you can now see how important the greyhound protection movement is. I've talked about the problems of abuse in racing, how Grade 2K USA tries to fix them, and then what the world would look like with and without their success. So if what I've talked about today has really struck you, then please help the greyhounds by helping this group. It can be as easy as visiting their website, grade2kusa.org. There you can sign petitions like this one or donate money to help them pass stronger laws. The best thing you can do, however, would be, if you're willing and able, would be to adopt one of these dogs. You can go on their website to see if this is the right option for you, and they'll give you a referral. After all, April is Adopt a Greyhound Month. I'm going to end today with a quote by Mohandas Gandhi. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way in which its animals